Club motorsport in the United Kingdom is seen as one of the most interesting, competitive and exciting in the world. And for the remainder of 2021, I want to take you inside one of the UK's flagship organisations, the 750 Motor Club. We'll get to know the drivers, the cars and the tracks and let you know how you can get involved and go racing yourself. Today we'll be taking a look at one of the 750 Motor Club's most unique series. It's the historic 750 Formula Series, and this is for racing cars built in the earlier years of the 750 Formula regulation. It primarily comprises of Austin 7 Specials and later Reliant engine Formula cars. New cars have been built within the current regulations, and any eligibility inquiries of course are welcomed by the club. Let's get to know some of the drivers who race in this series currently and to understand their reasoning for going for such a unique series.
My motor racing started really with my dad back in the 60s. He was an amateur rally driver, really amateur, just a Sunday afternoon treasure hunts really. And then in the 70s, a school friend of mine, his next door neighbour was doing autocrossing, and we built an autocross car, raced against John Button, Jensen's dad. Without any result at all. We were hopeless, and then we decided to go 750 racing, which is when I first met Lynn back in the mid to late 70s, and then stopped, as you do with kids and mortgages and careers and things like that. And then I can't remember when it was, 2013 I think it was, our youngest son decided that we should go motor racing. And we saw this advertised, and lo and behold, gave Lynn a ring, and he went, well, 35 years on, hell, where have you been? And we bought the car, and been racing it ever since. My son John and I race it occasionally, and I race it every opportunity I can, and had some wins, and it's been great fun.
My dad started in the 750 before me, and he kept on saying to me, you've got to have a go, you've got to have a go, you've got to have a go. My first race was actually here. 11 years ago, my 11th season now, and he just had the car done, has had the engine built. I did a quarter of a lap in practice, and that's all I did for the whole day. And it's not been too dissimilar today. It's not always like that, but sometimes like that.
My first real lightning moment was probably Nigel Mansell of all people. That was the great moment, isn't it? When everybody thought, wow, we've got a winner, and I think that's kind of when the interest and the attention and focus came on. It's something I was always interested in. I guess I just never had the opportunity. We all love driving fast. I guess nobody's going to come racing and tell you not.
Or biking fast either.
Well, or biking, yeah, that's true. The speed, the interest has always been there. It was just the opportunity, and when it presented itself, I thought, yeah, why not?
Keep the cars period correct and closely matched out on track. The regulations for this series are quite tight, but do allow some flexibility to ensure cars are unique and interesting. For the engine, you'll be running one of the following: an Austin 7, Reliant 750 can be a full race engine, or 850 with controlled camshafts, a Ford 1172, a Climax. F3 500cc cars must comply with the 500 OA rules. Austin 7 engines can be naturally aspirated in Class A or supercharged within Class AS. In terms of the suspension, this varies quite a lot dependent on the class that you want to run your car in. This can be anything from leaf springs to coilovers. And for the brakes, in the Austin 7 classes, brakes are restricted to the Austin 7 drums. A7 brakes can be converted to hydraulic, still with A7 drums. In Class C, you can run discs on the front only. Class A must be using a transmission from the standard A7 casing. Alternative ratios may be fitted, either 3-speed or 4-speed plus reverse. And as for tyres, within Class A, the tyres must be from the approved lists and the minimum wheel size. Adherence to the period appearance and the period technology, which is generally pre-74.
The cars you can mechanic yourself. Anybody with reasonable mechanical skills can put it together. And I'll give you an example. I was on holiday just before this event, having things not worked out 3 weeks ago when we last raced. had to rebuild the engine. I took it out. I knew I was going on holiday. A friend of mine, Mike, took it over to the machine shop. The machine shop did the work, and I got the engine back Wednesday. And so the engine block, nothing in it, and I'd entered for this race. And Trevor came up and he spent 2 days with me putting it back together. And that's the spirit of 750 all the way through. Everybody I spoke to has been helping somebody else in the formula. Yes, it's a competition, yes, we're racing each other, but first and foremost, we're helping each other to go racing, to all edge each other on and get each other out on the track. Like you'll see today, people fixing the cars in the paddock, and there'll be 5 people fixing one car. And it's different to the other series, and it makes it fantastic.
I agree entirely with that, and I think I can even attest to that because, when I went to Donington and I had a problem with the car, in fact, I couldn't race in the end. However, everybody was there trying to work a solution and help me get back on the track. And I think it's the camaraderie in the club that I really like being part of as well.
When your car was found, it was up in Scotland, wasn't it?
It was in Scotland.
And Charlie, who's racing with us today, but you can't see, went up with Linda, having never met her.
Correct.
Up to Scotland to get the car. And I've done a similar trip with John Ingram over there. I'd never met John, and he said, Lyndon, I want to buy a racing car. And I said, I know where there's one in Scotland, just the other side of Inverness. And he went, all right, let's go and get it. And I said, when? He's like, well, tomorrow. I was like, and so I headed home to my wife and said, I'm going to Scotland. She said, when? I said, well, in the morning. She said, what do you mean? She said, who's this bloke? I said, well, I don't really know, but we're going to Scotland and we're going to get a B&B, we'll stay up there and we'll come back with a car. She went, really? And that's what we do, isn't it?
I find this series really quite special. It's one of the most unique series out there in the UK for motor racing. You hardly get to see cars of this era race at all. So to see so many race together is truly a special sight. And they don't just run 1 or 2 races a season, they're still running 12 rounds, and these are typically spread across 6 double-header race weekends, so the cars get lots of track action, as many as all of the other 750 Formula, and they get to share the track with some completely different forms of motorsport, which I think is fantastic. And part of the reason why I love the club is the variety across one single race weekend is incredible, so to go along even as a fan, it's truly quite special.
850cc engine cars, they're not hugely powerful, but we're all very similar power and all mostly similar levels of skill, so we all tend to whiz around together and we respect each other, and there are very few incidents and accidents in our formula, so
We've got an iconic picture of respect, haven't we, me and you around here?
Yeah,
just over there.
Yeah.
Where we were both coming round 4 or 5 inches apart.
Yeah.
And actually, you can't see all the wheels in the picture, can you? Because we're so close.
Yeah.
Never touch, but get close.
The same weekend as Ricciardo and Verstappen tried exactly the same thing and
they
collided with each other.
Survived.
Yeah. So we thought about writing to Christian Horner and saying, have a look at this video and you might learn a bit. Your lads might learn a bit from these 2 Herberts.
A big thing for motorsport and getting into it in the first place is the cost. So let's quickly run down what you might expect to be paying to race with the historic 750 Formula with the 750 Motor Club. Typically, the club membership is £25 for 12 months, much like the other Formula. Season registration is £90, one of the cheapest in the UK. A double header entry fee could be anything between £250, £350, that is depending on the circuit. Across the double header weekend, you'll be running a qualifying session and 2 15-minute races, and eligible cars can be bought second-hand from £5,000 to £6,000 as a base entry. As mentioned, you can build up your car yourself, but trying to keep the cars within the regulations, make sure that you get in contact with the club. And there's also a really interesting website, www.historic750formula.co.uk, which you can find within the 750 Motor Club website. It's also worth noting that many people choose this as their first ever race series, and this without any previous track experience. It seems like a great club to be a part of, to get out on track, and certainly a very unique series.
Just behind us you can see Tim Miles' car, and Tim Miles, a lot of people will know the name as being the founder of Pigstios and 7 Racing. And Tim, if I'm right, just turned 82. He built that car last year to go racing. So it's only about his 2nd or 3rd time out in that one. So there is no age limit on historic 750 racing. We've got some historic people and historic cars, and it's great fun. So whatever your age or whoever you are, you can come and do it. You know, I think that's the bottom line, isn't it? I sort of coordinate with Trevor really a lot of the series and keep things moving forwards and keep things organised and put people in touch with people when things are broken and falling apart off cars and things like that. So if you're interested, we can always tell you about more, and you can find our details via our Historic 750 Formula website.
What a refreshing take on historic racing within the UK. As mentioned, these cars are truly unique. It's very unlikely you'll see many of these cars racing in other series around the UK, as this is really dedicated for this type of car. And it's seen as the most affordable route into historic racing. So if you want to give this a go, if you want to make a career for yourself within historic racing, this could be a fantastic start. Or if this is just a big passion of yours, this is also a good place to call home. A massive thank you to everyone at the 750 Motor Club and everyone that allowed me to chat to them at Brands Hatch earlier this year. A fantastic day, great to see these cars out on track. I can't wait to see them out on track soon.